praise. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit thou womb choosest. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death.
Commitment, discipline, and perseverance. My beloved child, there are no coincidences in this universe. Your eyes watching this message at this very moment, this is destiny. Like a traveler who finds water in the desert precisely when thirst becomes unbearable, you have found this video when your soul needed it most. I watch you each night as you stare at the ceiling, questioning if the path you've chosen is worth the sacrifice. I see how you hide your tears from others, wondering if anyone notices how hard you're trying. The universe notices. I notice. Have you ever observed how the ocean never tires of kissing the shoreline? How the sun never fails to rise, regardless of whether anyone is awake to witness its glory? The greatest forces of nature understand what many humans forget, that in commitment lies power, in discipline lies freedom, in perseverance lies transformation. You started your journey with fire in your eyes. You made promises under stars and in the silence of prayer. But now, the initial flame flickers in the harsh winds of reality. This is not failure, my child. This is the beginning of true wisdom. The ancient alchemists knew that gold could only be formed under tremendous pressure. The most beautiful canyons were carved by water that refused to stop flowing. And your soul, your magnificent eternal soul, can only reach its fullest expression through commitment that outlasts doubt, discipline that transcends motivation, and perseverance that defies logic. You are not reading these words by accident. Your soul has been searching for this message. The universe conspires to help those who seek to fulfill their personal legend, but first, you must recognize the signs. This message is one such sign. Many will begin the journey of transformation. Few will continue when the path grows steep. Fewer still will reach the summit. But those who do, those who honor their commitment with unwavering discipline and steadfast perseverance, they are the ones who discover that the treasure they sought was not just at the end of the journey, but hidden within every step along the way. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. I have seen empires crumble and mountains turn to dust. And I can tell you with certainty that nothing of value is created without commitment. Nothing of beauty is maintained without discipline. Nothing of significance is achieved without perseverance. The difference between those who merely dream and those who transform dreams into reality is not talent, luck, or circumstance. It is the quiet decision, made anew each morning, to honor yesterday's commitment despite today's challenges. If you feel moved by these words, if something within you resonates with this truth, then pause this video. Take a deep breath. Place your hand on your heart and say, I commit myself to my highest purpose. I embrace discipline as my path to freedom. I choose perseverance as my way of being. The desert wanderers of ancient times knew something that modern society has forgotten, that the voice of the divine often speaks loudest in moments of solitude and surrender. As you listen to this message, know that millions of others around the world are awakening to the same call, each in their own time, each in their own way. You are not alone in this awakening, though the journey itself is uniquely yours. Consider the humble olive tree, which endures years of drought, rocky soil, and harsh winds. For 7 years, it might produce no fruit at all, testing the farmer's commitment. Yet those who tend to it faithfully, those who water its roots when others would abandon it as barren, are eventually rewarded with an abundance that lasts for generations. Your dreams, your purpose, your calling, these are the olives that require your patient tending. I have walked with kings and beggars, with saints and sinners. I have witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations that once seemed eternal. And in all this watching, I have seen that the true measure of a soul is not found in its moments of triumph, but in how it responds when every rational voice says to surrender. The most profound transformations occur precisely when continuation seems impossible. It is there, in that narrow gap between surrender and perseverance, that miracles are born. The ancient Sufis speak of a concept called baraka, a blessing that multiplies when shared. This divine message carries such a blessing. Each time you return to it, you will find new meaning. Each time you share it, its power will grow, not just in the hearts of those who receive it, but in your own heart as well. For in the economy of the soul, that which is given multiplies, while that which is hoarded diminishes. There is a reason why the most profound spiritual teachings are often delivered through parables and stories. The mind may forget facts, but the soul remembers truth wrapped in narrative. Let this message be a story you tell yourself in moments of doubt, a reminder that the universe bends toward those who persist beyond reasonable limits, who maintain discipline when motivation fades, who honor commitments when no one is watching. In the silence between these words, listen for the whisper of your own highest self. That still, small voice has been waiting for this moment, this sacred appointment between who you have been and who you are becoming. The ancients believed that the divine speaks in the spaces between our thoughts. So pause now, and then as you watch, allowing the deeper meanings to sink beneath the surface of conscious understanding. Now, share this message with someone whose spirit needs strengthening. Like bread broken and shared among friends, wisdom multiplies when given freely. Comment below with the word committed, and watch how the universe begins to align with your renewed intention. Subscribe to receive more divine guidance for your journey, and like this message to help it reach those who, like you, have been searching without knowing what they seek. This is not merely a video you're watching, it is a covenant between your current self and the person you are destined to become. The path ahead is illuminated. The invitation has been extended. All that remains is for you to take the next step, and the next after that. I have walked beside you on countless moonless nights when your faith wavered and your resolve dimmed. I have felt your silent tears fall upon my shoulders when no one else was watching. The struggle you face is as ancient as humanity itself, the battle between immediate comfort and lasting transformation, between the easy path and the worthy one. You begin each journey with such clarity of purpose. Like Santiago in search of his treasure, you set forth with dreams illuminating your path. But then, the desert winds begin to blow. The mirage of quick results fades. The initial enthusiasm, that sweet but temporary fuel, is consumed. And in that moment, when reality strips away illusion, many of my children turn back, convinced that the treasure was merely a dream. What is the use of discipline, you ask in moments of despair, when my efforts seem to yield so little fruit? You look at others who appear to achieve without struggle, and you wonder if you have been forgotten, if your prayers have fallen upon deaf ears. This doubt, this questioning, is not a sign of weakness but the threshold of wisdom. For it is only when we question the path that we truly choose to walk it. The warrior of light understands a truth that eludes many. That commitment without discipline is like a ship without a rudder, and discipline without perseverance is like a flame that cannot withstand the wind. You have experienced this Trinity fragmented, moments of fierce commitment followed by sporadic discipline, or perhaps iron discipline without the heart of true commitment. And when the tests came, as they always do, perseverance failed because it was not rooted in both commitment and discipline. In the Gospel of Matthew it is written, "Wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. This is not meant to discourage you, but to awaken you to a profound truth. The path of transformation is not meant to be easy. If it were, it would not transform. Your struggle is not unique to you, though it feels intensely personal. From the deserts of ancient Egypt to the bustling cities of today, souls have wrestled with the same fundamental question. How do I continue when continuing seems impossible? How do I remain faithful to a vision when the vision itself seems to fade? How do I find the strength to persevere when every fiber of my being cries out for rest? The paradox that confounds so many is this. The very moments when you most want to abandon your path are precisely the moments when you stand at the threshold of breakthrough. Like the darkest hour before dawn, the greatest resistance precedes the greatest transformation. But in that darkness, how easily the mind forgets what the heart once knew with certainty. You have felt the weight of inconsistency, beginning spiritual practices with fervor only to let them fade, making promises to yourself that dissolve under pressure, setting forth on journeys of self-improvement only to find yourself circling back to familiar territory. This pattern has left scars upon your confidence, whispers of doubt that grow louder with each abandoned endeavor. Perhaps, the voice of doubt suggests, I am simply not capable of such transformation. Perhaps others were made for greatness, but I was made for mediocrity. This is the most dangerous falsehood of all, the belief that your capacity for commitment, discipline, and perseverance is fixed rather than cultivated. In the ancient book of Ecclesiastes, it is written, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." This is not a suggestion, but a key to the kingdom of fulfillment. Half-hearted commitment leads to half-formed results. Sporadic discipline creates sporadic progress. Conditional perseverance yields conditional transformation. The problem, my beloved, is not that you lack the capacity for these virtues. The problem is that you have been taught to believe that transformation should be comfortable, that discipline should be easy, that commitment should feel natural from the beginning, and that perseverance should not require sacrifice. You have been sold the destination without being told the truth about the journey. I see how society has conditioned you to expect immediate results, instant messages, instant meals, instant gratification. This modern curse of immediacy has distorted your perception of growth, which in all of nature follows cycles of dormancy, struggle, and bloom. The mighty oak does not resent the winter. It understands that dormancy is part of becoming. Take a moment now. Place your hand over your heart and feel its steady rhythm. Has it ever asked for permission to beat? Has it ever decided that today is too difficult, the circumstances too challenging? Your heart knows commitment, discipline, and perseverance in a way your mind has yet to learn. Now look around you at this very moment. Find one object, just one, that required no commitment to create, no discipline to perfect, no perseverance to complete. You will not find it. Everything of value in this world bears the invisible signature of these three virtues. And you, magnificent eternal you, are no exception to this divine law. If these words resonate in the chambers of your soul, if you recognize yourself in this struggle, then pause this video and make a sacred vow. Speak aloud. I acknowledge the pattern of abandonment that has limited my growth. From this moment forward, I choose commitment over convenience, discipline over distraction, and perseverance over comfort. Then write, "I am becoming," in the comments below as a public declaration of your private commitment. This simple act creates a ripple in the universe, a signal that you are ready to transcend the pattern that has held you captive for too long. Remember, a spiritual warrior does not count the falls, but the times they rise again. Double your engagement with this sacred message by clicking the like button and sharing it with someone who struggles with the same patterns. By doing so, you strengthen not only their resolve but your own, for teaching is the highest form of learning. The secret that few discover is this: commitment, discipline, and perseverance are not traits you either have or lack. They are sacred practices that grow stronger with each conscious choice. And today, right now, you stand before that choice once again. Divine principles of transformation. There exists a sacred alchemy in the universe that transforms the lead of intention into the gold of manifestation. This alchemy is not hidden in ancient texts accessible only to the privileged few. It is written in the very fabric of creation, available to all who have eyes to see and hearts willing to learn. Let me share with you now the eternal principles that govern this transmutation. The first principle is this: commitment is not an act but a state of being. Many of my children approach commitment as a single decision made in a moment of inspiration. They declare, I commit to this path, and believe the declaration alone carries transformative power. But true commitment is not what you say in moments of clarity. It is who you become in moments of confusion. It is the unwavering center that holds steady when everything around you spins into chaos. Consider the story of the young man who approached the master seeking enlightenment. "How badly do you want it?" asked the master. "More than anything," replied the eager student. The master took him to the river and pushed his head beneath the water. The student struggled and fought until, nearly drowned, the master released him. Gasping for air, the student demanded an explanation. "When you want enlightenment as badly as you wanted that breath of air," said the master, "then you will find it. This is the essence of commitment, a necessity as fundamental as breath. The commitment I speak of is not rigid or forceful. It does not arise from fear or obligation. True commitment flows from love for the divine spark within you, love for the journey itself rather than just its destination, love for the being you are becoming through the process of transformation. When commitment is rooted in love, it bends but never breaks. It may adapt its form, but never abandons its essence. The second principle is this: discipline is freedom, not restriction. The world has taught you that discipline means deprivation, saying no to what you desire. But divine discipline is saying yes to what you truly value most. It is choosing alignment with your highest purpose over momentary pleasure. It is the daily decision to honor tomorrow's harvest by planting today's seeds, regardless of weather or mood. In ancient times, the word discipline shared its root with disciple, one who follows a teaching not out of obligation but devotion. The disciplined soul is not imprisoned by routine but liberated by it. Just as the river flows more powerfully when channeled between banks, your life force flows more powerfully when channeled through disciplined practice. True discipline has rhythm, not rigidity. Notice how all of nature operates in cycles, seasons of intense activity, followed by seasons of rest and renewal. The oak tree does not produce acorns year-round, yet no one accuses it of lacking discipline. Your practice, too, must honor these natural rhythms. There will be seasons of intense growth and seasons of integration. There will be days when discipline feels effortless and days when each step requires monumental effort. Both are part of the journey. The third principle is this: perseverance is intelligent persistence, not blind stubbornness. To persevere is not simply to continue without change or adaptation. It is to continue moving toward your destination, adjusting your sails to changing winds while keeping your eyes fixed on the North Star of your purpose. Remember the story of the stonecutter who strikes a boulder 99 times without a crack appearing? It is not the 100th blow alone that splits the stone, but the accumulated impact of all that came before. This is the mystery of perseverance, that results rarely come in direct proportion to effort. Often, you will work without visible progress until a threshold is crossed, and what seemed immovable suddenly gives way. The marriage of these three principles, commitment as a state of being, discipline as freedom, and perseverance as intelligent persistence, creates a foundation upon which the cathedral of your highest aspirations can be built. Without this foundation, even the most beautiful vision remains merely a dream. I have witnessed souls of ordinary background accomplish extraordinary feats through the application of these principles. The young woman born into poverty who, through unwavering commitment to education, rose to heal thousands as a physician. The man who transformed decades of addiction through the daily discipline of spiritual practice when all external forces suggested failure was inevitable. The mother who, after losing a child, channeled her grief into creating sanctuaries of healing for others, not because the pain was less for her, but because her perseverance transformed it into purpose. These are not exceptional stories. They are examples of what becomes possible when ordinary souls embrace extraordinary principles. And you, yes, you who are watching this very message, have access to the same transformative power that flows through all of creation. The obstacle that blocks many from experiencing this power is the belief that these virtues should come naturally or easily. They do not. Just as the musician's fingers bleed before they build calluses, your resolve will be tested before it builds resilience. This is not punishment but preparation, the necessary resistance that builds spiritual strength. I invite you now to place your hand on your heart once more and whisper the words that have initiated countless journeys of transformation. I am ready. Feel the resonance of these simple words within your being. They are both a declaration and an invitation, a signal to the universe that you are prepared to align yourself with these eternal principles. Now, as a sacred act of devotion to your own becoming, write in the comments below, thy will be done through me. This declaration is more than words on a screen. It is your soul's agreement to become a vessel for divine purpose, an instrument through which the melody of commitment, discipline, and perseverance can play its transformative song. Share this message with 3 people whose potential you recognize, but who struggle with continuation. By this act of sharing, you not only strengthen their journey, but deepen your own commitment. Remember, we rise by lifting others. Subscribe to these messages of divine wisdom, so that each step of your journey is illuminated by truth, and signal your resonance by pressing the like button, creating a current of positive energy that reaches far beyond what your eyes can see. The solution to the pattern of abandoned potential has always been within you, waiting like a seed for the proper conditions to grow. Today, we have created those conditions together, applying divine principles in daily life. The distance between knowing and becoming is measured not in miles but in moments, countless small moments when you choose alignment over convenience, purpose over comfort, growth over familiarity. Let me guide you now through the sacred art of embodying these principles in the soil of everyday existence. To apply commitment in your daily life, you must first understand that commitment flows from clarity of purpose. Many souls wander without direction because they have never defined what matters most to them. Take time to sit in sacred silence and ask yourself, what would I pursue even if no one ever praised me for it? What would I create even if no one ever saw it? What path would I walk even if I walked it entirely alone? The answers that arise from this depth of questioning reveal your true commitments, not the ones borrowed from society's expectations or inherited from family traditions, but the ones inscribed upon your soul before you drew your first breath. Once you have identified your true commitments, make them visible. The ancient practice of creating a personal altar, a physical space that represents your deepest values, serves as a daily reminder of what you have chosen to honor with your life force. This need not be elaborate. Even a small corner with symbols of your commitments can anchor you when winds of distraction blow. A writer might place a pen, a healer a small bottle of oil, a teacher a candle representing illumination. These physical touchstones speak to deeper parts of your being than words alone can reach. Remember that commitment requires regular renewal. Each morning before your feet touch the floor, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "Today, I choose again what I chose yesterday. Today, I honor my commitment to name your specific commitment." This simple ritual acknowledges that commitment is not a one-time decision, but a practice of continuous choosing. When applying discipline to daily life, begin by creating sacred containers of time. The most common mistake is attempting to transform all aspects of existence simultaneously, which leads to inevitable collapse. Instead, designate specific times, perhaps 30 minutes each morning or an hour each evening, as inviolable space for your most important practices. During these times, become unavailable to the world's demands. Silence your devices. Close your door. Signal to the universe and to yourself that this time belongs to your highest purpose alone. Structure creates freedom. This paradox confounds many who associate discipline with constraint. But notice how a riverbank does not restrict the river. It focuses its flow, transforming what would be a formless puddle into a powerful current. Similarly, creating clear structures for your day does not limit your potential, but amplifies it. Decide when you will rise, when you will practice, when you will create, when you will rest. These decisions, made in advance, free you from the exhaustion of continuous choice and the seduction of momentary desire. The secret to sustainable discipline lies in honoring your unique nature. The trees in a forest do not grow in identical patterns, yet each finds its way toward the light. Your discipline must reflect who you truly are, not who you think you should be. If you are naturally nocturnal, creating a discipline that requires early morning practice may be setting yourself up for unnecessary struggle. If you thrive in community, a solitary practice may wither without the nourishment of shared energy. Design your discipline in harmony with your nature, not in opposition to it. To apply perseverance in daily life, you must first redefine failure. In the divine economy, there is no failure, only feedback. When you encounter obstacles, resistance, or apparent setbacks, ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? How is this preparing me for greater capacity? What must I understand before proceeding? This shift in perspective transforms obstacles from punishment to pedagogy, from blockage to breakthrough. The practice of documenting your journey strengthens perseverance by making progress visible. The mind easily forgets how far you have come when focused only on the distance yet to travel. Each evening, Record in a journal one step you took toward your commitment, one moment you honored your discipline, one instance you chose to continue when you could have abandoned your path. Over time, these entries become a testament to your perseverance, a sacred text you can return to when doubt arises. Community sustains perseverance. The lone traveler may easily convince himself that the path is too difficult, the destination too distant. But when walking alongside others who share your commitment, mutual encouragement replaces solitary doubt. Seek or create a circle of kindred souls who understand your journey. Meet regularly to share both struggles and victories. Allow yourself to be witnessed in both your strength and vulnerability. In applying these principles, remember that the physical realm follows the spiritual. Before you see external evidence of transformation, internal shifts are occurring beyond the reach of your senses. The farmer does not dig up seeds each day to check their progress. He trusts the unseen processes of growth. Similarly, trust that your consistent application of these principles is creating change, even when visible results seem delayed. The integration of commitment, discipline, and perseverance creates a trinity of transformation. Commitment without discipline remains a beautiful intention without form. Discipline without commitment becomes empty routine, easily abandoned when challenges arise. Both without perseverance collapse at the first substantial obstacle. But when all three flow together, they form an unstoppable current that can carve new pathways through even the most resistant terrain of your life. I have watched souls apply these principles to transform addictions into freedom, poverty into abundance, illness into vitality, confusion into clarity, and isolation into connection. The circumstances vary, but the underlying process remains consistent. Clarify your commitment, establish your discipline, embrace perseverance, and renewal becomes inevitable. There will be days when applying these principles feels impossible, days when exhaustion clouds your clarity, when doubts whisper louder than faith, when the gap between your current reality and your deepest commitments seems unbridgeable. These are not failures but initiations, sacred thresholds where your capacity expands through the very act of continuing despite apparent limitations. Now, as an act of devotion to your own transformation, place both hands over your heart. Feel its rhythm, steady, faithful, unwavering. This is the pulse of divine commitment that has never abandoned you, the disciplined beat that continues without conscious effort, the perseverance that sustains your very existence. Allow your own commitment, discipline, and perseverance to align with this sacred rhythm. Speak aloud. I am no longer merely a seeker of transformation. I am a vessel through which transformation flows. I align my daily choices with my eternal purpose. Then, as a declaration of this alignment, write in the comments, I am the vessel. When you do this, you create a field of intention that magnetizes similar souls to your journey and strengthens your resolve through public declaration. Take a moment now to press the notification bell so you receive each message of divine wisdom exactly when your soul requires it. Like this video as a signal to others that these teachings carry value. And share it specifically with someone who stands at a crossroads, uncertain whether to continue on their path of growth or retreat to familiar comfort. Your sharing may be the very invitation they have been waiting for. Remember, the application of these principles is not a destination, but a sacred journey of becoming. Each day offers new opportunities to embody them more fully, to align more completely with the divine current that flows through all of existence. Sacred testimonies of transformation. Throughout the tapestry of human existence, I have witnessed countless souls who have embraced these divine principles and experienced profound transformation. Let me share with you now the living testimonies of those who walked through darkness into light, not as distant legends, but as fellow travelers whose footsteps you can follow. Consider the story of Maria, a woman whose early life was marked by abandonment and scarcity. By the age of 30, she had known more sorrow than joy, more hunger than fulfillment. Her dreams of creating beauty through art had been buried beneath the weight of daily survival. One night, in the depths of despair, she encountered these principles not as concepts but as living truths that called to the deepest part of her being. Maria made a commitment not to external success but to the faithful expression of her creative spirit, regardless of outcome or recognition. Her discipline took the form of rising before dawn each day to paint for 1 hour before attending to her obligations as a mother and worker. Her perseverance was tested when months passed without visible improvement in her art, when those around her suggested her efforts were futile, when financial pressures tempted her to abandon her practice. What sustained Maria through these trials was not blind faith but growing inner certainty, the knowledge that the act of creation was transforming not just canvas but creator. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, her art began to reflect this inner transformation. 3 years after her initial commitment, her paintings caught the attention of a local gallery owner. 5 years later, her work hung in exhibitions that touched the hearts of thousands. A decade later, she established a foundation that provided creative sanctuary for children from backgrounds similar to her own. Was Maria's transformation about external success? No. The true miracle was not the recognition her art eventually received, but the woman she became through unwavering commitment to her deepest truth. As she often tells those who come to her for guidance, "The canvas showed me who I always was beneath the layers of fear and doubt. Each brushstroke was an act of faith in my own becoming." Then there is Thomas, a man whose body was ravaged by illness in his 40th year. Medical authorities offered little hope for recovery, suggesting he prepare for increasingly limited mobility and chronic pain. In this moment of apparent finality, Thomas made a commitment not to defy death but to embrace life in whatever form it took, to experience each moment with complete presence rather than resistance. His discipline manifested as daily practices of gentle movement, conscious breathing, and meditation, not as desperate attempts to force healing, but as expressions of reverence for the life still flowing through him. His perseverance was challenged each morning when pain greeted him before awareness. Each time well-meaning friends suggested he accept his limitations, each moment comparison to his former physical capacity brought grief. What Thomas discovered through this journey was that commitment to presence, supported by the discipline of practice and the perseverance to continue despite fluctuating results, created space for something beyond his understanding. 2 years into this path, medical tests revealed inexplicable improvements in his condition. 5 years later, he completed a pilgrimage walk of 500 miles. A decade later, he guides others with similar diagnoses, not promising physical cures, but offering a way to reclaim the sovereignty of spirit regardless of bodily circumstances. "My healing began," Thomas often shares, "not when I committed to recovering my old life, but when I committed to being fully present in my new one." The discipline of daily practice and the perseverance to continue despite setbacks taught me that my essence was never confined to my physical form. Consider also the testimony of Sophia, whose marriage had become a desolate landscape of resentment and distance after 20 years. The counselors she consulted suggested separation might be the only path to peace. In that dark night of her relationship, Sophia encountered these principles not as strategies to change her partner, but as invitations to transform herself. She committed not to preserving the marriage at all costs, but to embodying love regardless of outcome. Her discipline took the form of daily practices that cultivated compassion toward herself first, and then extending outward to include her partner. Her perseverance was tested each time old patterns threatened to override new awareness, each instance when her gestures of connection met with indifference, each moment when the voice of righteous judgment seemed more compelling than the voice of compassionate understanding. The transformation in Sophia's relationship did not occur overnight. For months, she practiced her commitment, discipline, and perseverance without external validation. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, the energetic field of her relationship began to shift. 3 years into her journey, conversations once marked by defensiveness became explorations of mutual understanding. 5 years later, both partners described their relationship as a sacred container for growth rather than a source of limitation. A decade later, they guide other couples through similar terrain, offering not techniques but principles. What saved our marriage, Sophia often reflects, was not finding better ways to change each other, but discovering how to remain faithful to love itself, especially when it seemed absent from our experience. The commitment to love as a state of being, supported by the discipline of daily practice and the perseverance to continue through apparent failure, created space for a completely new relationship to emerge from the ashes of the old. These stories of the artist who reclaimed her creative essence, the patient who transcended his diagnosis, the wife who transformed her marriage, are not exceptional. They represent the natural unfolding that occurs when ordinary souls align with extraordinary principles. Each faced unique circumstances, yet the underlying process remained consistent. Commitment to truth beyond appearances, discipline as devotion rather than obligation, perseverance through the inevitable valleys of doubt and fatigue. I have witnessed these principles transform addictions into freedom, grief into purpose, conflict into connection, confusion into clarity. The external circumstances vary widely, but the internal alchemy follows the same divine pattern. First comes commitment to truth beyond temporary comfort. Then discipline establishes new neural pathways to replace old patterns. Finally, perseverance carries the soul through the inevitable period of purification when old structures collapse before new ones fully emerge. What these testimonies share is not perfection but faithfulness, not the absence of struggle, but the courage to struggle toward greater alignment rather than retreating into familiar limitation. Each story testifies to the truth that transformation begins not when circumstances change, but when you change your relationship to circumstance through commitment, discipline, and perseverance. Now, I invite you to become part of this living testimony. Place your hands over your heart and whisper, "I join my story with the story of all who have walked this path before me. Their courage strengthens my commitment. Their faithfulness inspires my discipline. Their endurance fuels my perseverance." Take a sacred moment to envision yourself 1 year from today, having remained faithful to your deepest commitment through daily discipline and unwavering perseverance. See clearly the being you are becoming through this process. Feel the quiet confidence that comes not from perfection, but from faithful continuation. As an act of joining your journey with the journey of others, write in the comments below, "I am becoming my testimony." Then tag 3 people whose transformation you wish to witness and support. By doing so, you create a sacred circle of mutual encouragement and accountability, recognizing that while the path of transformation is walked individually, it is strengthened collectively. Take this moment to subscribe to these messages of divine wisdom if you haven't already, ensuring that your journey continues to be nourished by truth. Press the like button as a signal to others that these principles carry life-changing power, and share this message with someone whose story seems stalled, who stands at the crossroads of continuation or abandonment of their deepest truth. Remember, your story is still being written. Each moment offers a new beginning, each challenge an opportunity for deeper alignment, each apparent setback the foundation for unprecedented breakthrough. These testimonies are not distant legends but living invitations, proof that what happened for Maria, Thomas, and Sophia can happen for you when you align with the divine principles of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. The sacred path of beginning. The journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath your feet, in this very moment, with a single step taken with full awareness. Let me guide you now through the initial stages of transformation, not as abstract concepts, but as practical steps you can begin today, regardless of your circumstance or history. The first practical step is to create a sacred ceremony of commitment. Throughout human history, across every culture and tradition, significant transitions have been marked by ritual. This is not mere superstition but profound psychological and spiritual wisdom. The soul recognizes and responds to ceremony in ways the rational mind cannot fully comprehend. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Bring 3 objects that symbolize your commitment, your discipline, and your perseverance. These might be as simple as a stone, a candle, and a piece of cord. What matters is not their monetary value, but the meaning you invest in them. For commitment, you might choose something that represents durability, perhaps a stone from a significant place or a ring that has witnessed many seasons of your life. For discipline, select something that represents focused energy, perhaps a candle whose flame burns steadily when protected from scattered winds. For perseverance, choose something that symbolizes flexibility and strength, perhaps a piece of cord that can bend without breaking or a plant that thrives in challenging conditions. Arrange these objects in a triangle before you. Sit in silence for several minutes, allowing your breath to deepen and your awareness to settle into the present moment. Then speak aloud your commitment, being as specific as possible. I commit myself to your specific commitment, not from obligation but from love, not from fear but from vision, not from lack but from fullness. Light a candle to symbolize that this commitment is now illuminated in your consciousness. Take the object representing discipline in your right hand and the object representing perseverance in your left. Bring your hands together, feeling these 2 energies merge with your commitment at the center of your being. Remain in this position for several minutes, breathing deeply, allowing the significance of this ceremony to penetrate beyond conceptual understanding. Close the ceremony by speaking aloud. What I have joined together in consciousness, let no doubt or fear separate. I am committed. I am disciplined. I persevere. This ceremony may seem simple, perhaps even childlike to the sophisticated mind. But remember that the most profound truths often wear the garment of simplicity. The purpose of this ceremony is not to impress others, but to impress upon your own soul the significance of the journey you are undertaking. The second practical step is to create a visible record of your commitment. In the ancient temple of Apollo at Delphi, the words "Know thyself" were inscribed for all who entered to see. Similarly, your commitment must be made visible, both to yourself and to the universe. Take a blank page and at the top, write the date and these words. On this day, I commit myself to the path of transformation through your specific commitment. Beneath this declaration, write in detail what this commitment means to you. Not what you think it should mean or what others have told you it means, but its authentic significance in your life. Why does this particular commitment call to you? What do you hope will be transformed through your faithfulness to it? What are you willing to sacrifice to honor this commitment? What support will you need? When you have completed this written declaration, sign it as you would sign a formal contract. Then identify 3 witnesses to your commitment, people whose wisdom you trust and whose presence in your life is characterized by supportive truth rather than comfortable illusion. Share your written commitment with these witnesses, asking them not merely to encourage you, but to hold you accountable through both celebration of your progress and honest reflection when you stray from your declared intention. The third practical step is to establish your minimum daily practice. Many spiritual journeys falter because practitioners attempt too much too soon, setting standards that require perfect circumstances or extraordinary willpower. Transformation emerges not from occasional heroic efforts, but from consistent, sustainable practice. Identify the smallest daily action that, if practiced consistently, would lead you toward your commitment. This minimum practice should be so modest that even on your most challenging day, it remains possible. For a commitment to physical well-being, it might be 5 minutes of conscious breathing. For a commitment to creative expression, it might be writing a single paragraph. For a commitment to spiritual growth, it might be a brief morning prayer or meditation. Once you have identified this minimum practice, schedule it at a specific time each day, ideally linking it to an existing habit to create what behavioral scientists call a trigger. Perhaps you will practice immediately after brushing your teeth in the morning, or just before turning out the light at night. This temporal consistency creates a container for your practice, reducing the cognitive load of daily decision-making. For the first 30 days, focus solely on establishing this minimum daily practice without concern for impressive results or expanded duration. The goal during this initial phase is not transformation of your entire life, but the establishment of unwavering consistency in one small area. This consistency builds a foundation of self-trust upon which larger structures can later be erected. The fourth practical step is to create a system for tracking your practice. The ancient desert fathers and mothers used simple marks on cave walls to record their daily prayers. Modern behavioral science confirms what these mystics intuitively understood, that visible records of practice create powerful momentum through the principle of don't break the chain. Create a simple calendar dedicated solely to tracking your minimum daily practice. Each day that you complete your practice, mark the calendar with a symbol that holds meaning for you, perhaps a cross, a star, or a simple check mark. As days of practice accumulate, a visible chain begins to form, creating both satisfaction in what you have already accomplished and motivation to maintain your unbroken record. Place this tracking calendar where you will see it multiple times each day, perhaps on your bedside table, your refrigerator door, or as the lock screen on your phone. The mere sight of your growing chain of practice serves as both reminder and reinforcement, linking your conscious intention with your subconscious motivation. The fifth practical step is to anticipate and prepare for resistance. Every significant journey encounters obstacles, external challenges, internal resistance, or both. Preparation for these inevitable challenges transforms them from surprising derailments to expected landmarks on your path. Take time to identify the specific forms of resistance most likely to emerge on your particular journey. If you are committing to creative expression, perhaps resistance will take the form of harsh self-judgment or comparison to others. If you are committing to physical discipline, perhaps resistance will appear as rationalization or scheduling conflicts. If you are committing to spiritual practice, perhaps resistance will manifest as intellectual doubt or emotional dryness. For each form of anticipated resistance, develop a specific response plan. This might include supportive phrases to speak aloud, alternative practices for challenging days, or specific people to contact when certain forms of resistance arise. The purpose of this preparation is not to eliminate resistance, which is both impossible and undesirable, as resistance builds strength, but to meet it consciously rather than reactively. Remember that resistance is not evidence of failure, but confirmation that you are moving beyond familiar territory into the realm of growth. The appearance of resistance is cause not for discouragement, but for recognition. Ah, here is the guardian at the threshold of transformation. I was expecting you. These 5 practical steps, creating a ceremony of commitment, establishing a visible record, defining your minimum daily practice, tracking your consistency, and preparing for resistance, create a foundation for sustainable transformation. They translate abstract principles into concrete actions, bridging the gap between inspiration and implementation. Now, I invite you to take the first tangible step on this journey. Find a quiet moment after this video concludes. Take a blank sheet of paper. At the top, write today's date and these words: I am ready to begin. Then write, in your own handwriting, the specific commitment you are making and the minimum daily practice you will establish to honor this commitment. Once you have written these words, take a photograph of this declaration. Post this image in the comments below with the words, "My journey begins today." This act of public declaration creates accountability, not only to yourself, but to all who witness your commitment. It transforms private intention into shared reality. Press the like button on this video, signaling to others that you have found value in these teachings. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, ensuring that you continue to receive guidance for each stage of your journey. And share this message specifically with one person who has expressed a desire for transformation but struggles with beginning. Your invitation may be precisely the catalyst they have been awaiting. Remember, the most profound journeys do not begin with extraordinary circumstances, but with ordinary moments made sacred through conscious intention. This moment, right now, as you watch these words, can be the threshold between the life you have known and the life that awaits your courage to begin. Sacred practices for daily renewal. The path of transformation unfolds not through grand gestures made once, but through humble practices sustained daily. Let me share with you now the sacred exercises, reflections, and affirmations that will nourish your commitment, strengthen your discipline, and deepen your perseverance through each season of your journey. Begin each day with the exercise of first consciousness. In those earliest moments when you transition from sleep to wakefulness, your mind exists in a permeable state where intentions planted take particularly deep root. Before engaging with the external world, before checking messages, before conversation, before planning, create a sanctuary of silence. Sit at the edge of your bed, feet touching the floor, spine erect but not rigid. Place your hands palms up on your thighs, symbolizing your receptivity to divine guidance. Close your eyes and take 3 full breaths, each deeper than the last. Then speak silently within your heart. Today, I choose again what I chose yesterday. I renew my commitment to your specific commitment. I embrace the discipline required. I welcome the opportunity to persevere. Visualize yourself moving through the day ahead, responding to its challenges and opportunities from this place of renewed commitment rather than habitual reaction. See yourself specifically in those situations where your resolve has previously faltered, now standing firm in peaceful determination. This exercise requires no more than 3 minutes, yet creates an energetic container for the entire day. Like the farmer who surveys the field before beginning to plow, you're creating a vision of completion that guides each action that follows. Practice the reflection of sacred pauses throughout your day. The most powerful transformations often occur not through constant activity, but through strategic stillness. 3 times daily, morning, midday, and evening, pause for 60 seconds of complete presence. Set subtle alarms on your phone, or associate these pauses with existing transitions in your day, such as before meals. During each sacred pause, bring your attention fully into the present moment. Feel the weight of your body against the chair or the floor. Notice the temperature of the air against your skin. Observe your breath without attempting to change it. Then ask yourself silently, in this moment, am I aligned with my commitment? Is my current action or thought serving my highest intention or distracting from it? This is not an exercise in self-judgment, but in gentle realignment, like a sailor making slight adjustments to the rudder rather than dramatic course corrections. The power of the sacred pause lies in its interruption of unconscious patterns. Most departures from commitment occur not through deliberate rejection, but through unconscious drift. These brief moments of awareness create islands of consciousness in what might otherwise be an ocean of automatic behavior. Engage in the practice of intentional discomfort once each week. Transformation requires expanding beyond familiar limitations, yet the human organism naturally seeks comfort and safety. This practice deliberately introduces manageable discomfort as a means of building capacity for perseverance. Choose one day each week to intentionally embrace a form of discomfort aligned with your commitment. If you are committed to physical discipline, perhaps you exercise in challenging, weather rather than ideal conditions. If you are committed to creative expression, perhaps you write or create for 30 minutes longer than feels comfortable. If you are committed to spiritual growth, perhaps you meditate for an extended period or engage with challenging spiritual texts rather than comforting ones. The purpose of this practice is not suffering for its own sake, but the development of capacity to continue through difficulty. Notice your internal dialogue during these periods of intentional discomfort. Observe the mind's attempts to rationalize early cessation. Recognize these thoughts not as truth, but as the natural resistance that precedes expansion. Each time you continue despite this resistance, you are literally rewiring neural pathways associated with perseverance. Embrace the affirmation of 3 truths morning and evening. Words spoken with conviction shape our deepest beliefs, which in turn shape our actions and experiences. This affirmation practice reinforces the foundations of commitment, discipline, and perseverance through the power of declared truth. Stand before a mirror, meeting your own gaze with soft but unwavering attention. Speak aloud these 3 statements slowly and with full presence. I am a being of commitment. When I give my word, I honor it not from obligation but from integrity. My commitment flows from love, not fear. I am a being of discipline. Each action I take builds the bridge to my highest vision. My discipline is an expression of freedom, not limitation. I am a being of perseverance. I continue when continuation seems impossible. My perseverance transforms obstacles into thresholds of new capacity. After speaking each statement, remain silent for several breaths, allowing the words to penetrate beyond intellectual understanding into embodied knowing. The power of this practice emerges not from magical thinking, but from the gradual reformation of self-concept. We become what we repeatedly affirm with conviction and emotional resonance. Practice the evening review of sacred accounting before sleep each night. Just as a merchant counts the day's transactions before closing shop, this practice creates conscious completion of each day's efforts toward your commitment.
This is not an exercise in self-judgment but in honest witnessing and course correction. Sit comfortably with a journal open before you. At the top of the page, write the date and the words, "Today, in service of my commitment." Then complete this sentence with specific actions you took, both large and small, that honored your commitment. Include not only external actions but internal choices, moments when you chose alignment over convenience, moments when you returned to your center after distraction. On the second half of the page, write, "Tomorrow I will strengthen my commitment by." Complete this sentence with 1 or 2 specific intentions for the day ahead. These should be concrete rather than abstract, measurable rather than vague. Not, "I will try harder," but, "I will begin the day with 15 minutes of meditation before checking messages." Conclude this practice by drawing a circle around the entire page, symbolizing completion of the day's efforts and containment of any disappointments or shortfalls. This simple gesture acknowledges that each day is its own entity, and tomorrow offers fresh opportunity regardless of today's successes or struggles. Engage in the practice of sacred reading as regular nourishment for your journey. Transformation is supported by the wisdom of those who have walked similar paths before you. Choose texts that speak directly to your specific commitment, not as distraction or entertainment, but as guidance and encouragement. Set aside 15 minutes each day, perhaps as part of your evening ritual, to engage not in casual reading but in the ancient practice of Lectio Divina, sacred reading. Read slowly, as if savoring nourishing food rather than consuming empty calories. When a particular passage resonates deeply, pause and close the book. Repeat the words aloud, allowing them to echo in the chamber of your heart. Ask yourself, what truth is being revealed to me in this moment? How does this wisdom apply specifically to my journey of commitment, discipline, and perseverance? Keep a special journal dedicated to insights that emerge from this practice. Over time, this collection becomes a personalized sacred text, a map of your particular path toward transformation. When facing challenging terrain, return to these collected insights as reminders of truths you have already recognized, but may temporarily forget. These 6 practices, the exercise of first consciousness, the reflection of sacred pauses, the practice of intentional discomfort, the affirmation of 3 truths, the evening review of sacred accounting, and the practice of sacred reading, form a complete system for daily renewal of your commitment, discipline, and perseverance. Together, they address the essential aspects of transformation: intention setting, conscious awareness, capacity building, identity formation, honest accountability, and wisdom gathering. Attempting to implement all 6 practices simultaneously may create overwhelm rather than empowerment. Begin with the practice that most resonates with your current needs. Master this single practice before adding another. Remember that transformation emerges not from perfect implementation, but from faithful continuation. It is better to practice one exercise with consistency than to attempt all 6 sporadically. Now, I invite you to choose one of these practices as your beginning point. Take a moment to close your eyes and scan through the 6 practices I have shared. Notice which one creates a sense of rightness or recognition within you. This internal resonance is the voice of wisdom guiding you toward your most appropriate starting point. Once you have identified your initial practice, commit to it for 30 consecutive days.
Place your hand on your heart and speak aloud. For the next 30 days, I commit to the practice of your chosen practice. Through this single practice, faithfully continued, I open myself to transformation. To strengthen this commitment through sacred accountability, take a moment now to write in the comments below. I choose the practice of your specific practice, as my path of transformation. By making this public declaration, you activate the power of communal witnessing. Then press the like button on this video as a symbol of your investment in this journey, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, ensuring you receive each message of guidance precisely when your soul requires it. Share this specific message with someone whose wisdom you trust, asking them to check in with you periodically about your chosen practice. The knowledge that another awaits your report creates gentle accountability that supports consistency when motivation naturally fluctuates. Remember, the practices themselves are not the transformation, but the conditions that allow transformation to occur naturally, just as the farmer creates conditions for growth, but does not force the seed to become the flower. Your faithful engagement with even one of these practices creates fertile soil in which the seeds of commitment, discipline, and perseverance can take root and flourish. Sacred resources for your journey. The path of transformation is never walked in isolation. Throughout human history, pilgrims on the sacred journey have sought wisdom from those who traveled before them, strength from companions who walked beside them, and nourishment from sources that transcend individual experience. Let me guide you now toward resources that will sustain and enrich your journey of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. First among these resources is the timeless wisdom preserved in sacred texts across traditions. These are not merely historical documents, but living transmissions that speak across centuries directly to the human condition. When approached not with the mind of a scholar seeking information, but with the heart of a seeker thirsting for transformation, these texts become portals to profound understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita, you will find Krishna's counsel to Arjuna on the battlefield of life, wisdom on maintaining commitment in the face of doubt, practicing discipline as sacred offering, and persevering when the path ahead seems impossible. The words Karmani evadikarast ma phalesha katakana contain a profound truth. You have the right to work only, but never to its fruits. This teaching addresses the core challenge of perseverance, the tendency to abandon commitment when immediate results do not match expectations. In the writings of the Christian mystics, particularly The Interior Castle by Teresa of Avila, you will discover the map of the soul's interior journey. Teresa describes transformation not as a straight line, but as movement through concentric chambers, each with its own challenges and revelations. Her wisdom on spiritual dryness, periods when motivation wanes and the path seems barren, offers particular insight for those moments when perseverance requires continuing without emotional nourishment. In the Tao Te Ching, especially verse 41, you will encounter the paradoxical wisdom that informs true commitment. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. This teaching illuminates the reality that the deepest truths often appear counterintuitive to conventional thinking. Commitment to these truths requires transcending social conditioning that prioritizes immediate gain over lasting transformation. Approach these texts not as obligations to be checked off a list, but as wells from which to draw when your spirit thirsts for deeper understanding. Read slowly in small portions, allowing each word to penetrate beyond intellectual comprehension into embodied wisdom. One paragraph fully absorbed carries more transformative power than volumes merely skimmed. The second resource for your journey is the wisdom embodied in contemporary teachers whose lives demonstrate the principles of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. Seek not those who promise easy transformation or quick results, but those whose teachings acknowledge both the challenge and the worthiness of the path. In the writings of Thich Nhat Hanh, particularly The Miracle of Mindfulness, you will find practical guidance on transforming daily activities into opportunities for presence and awareness. His teachings on washing the dishes to wash the dishes, rather than rushing through tasks to reach some future moment, contain the essence of discipline as sacred practice rather than obligation. In the work of Clarissa Pinkola Estes, particularly Women Who Run with the Wolves, you will discover the power of archetypal stories to illuminate the journey of reclaiming authentic selfhood. Her analysis of ancient tales reveals the patterns of commitment, loss of faith, and eventual triumph that characterize all journeys of transformation, offering both warning of common pitfalls and encouragement for continuing through darkness. In the teachings of Howard Thurman, particularly Jesus and the Disinherited, you will encounter wisdom on maintaining dignity and purpose in the face of opposition, external or internal. His exploration of how fear, deception, and hatred undermine commitment to one's highest truth offers penetrating insight for anyone whose path involves transcending limiting beliefs or circumstances. Seek these teachers not as gurus to be followed blindly, but as companions whose experience can illuminate dark passages on your own unique path. Extract from their wisdom what resonates with your particular journey, always filtering their guidance through your own inner knowing. The third resource for your journey is the power of sacred community. Transformation, while deeply personal, is supported by connection with others who share your commitment to growth. Throughout history, spiritual traditions have recognized that certain thresholds can rarely be crossed alone. The support of kindred spirits provides both accountability and encouragement when the path grows steep. Seek or create a circle of 3 to 5 individuals who share your commitment to transformation, though their specific paths may differ from yours. Meet regularly, whether in person or through virtual means, to share both challenges and breakthroughs. Structure these gatherings with intentionality, perhaps beginning with a period of shared silence, followed by each person speaking uninterrupted for 5 minutes about their journey since the last gathering, concluding with specific commitments for the period ahead. The power of such circles lies not in advice giving but in witnessing, the profound act of being fully present to another's experience without judgment or attempt to fix. When your commitment wavers, the mere knowledge that others await your report creates gentle accountability. When doubts arise, the testimony of others' perseverance through similar challenges restores perspective and hope. If finding such a circle proves challenging in your immediate community, consider creating a virtual one through platforms dedicated to meaningful connection. What matters is not the form but the substance, regular engagement with others who understand the path of transformation and honor both its difficulties and its sacredness. The fourth resource for your journey is the transformative power of retreat. In every spiritual tradition, periods of withdrawal from ordinary activity are recognized as essential for deepening practice and renewing commitment. The Hebrew Sabbath, the Buddhist practice of periodic intensive meditation, the Christian tradition of retreat, all acknowledge that transformation requires occasional removal from the constant stimulation of daily life. Create for yourself a rhythm of retreat appropriate to your circumstances. This might be as simple as 1 hour each week set aside for solitude and reflection, 1 day each month dedicated to silence and renewal, or 1 weekend each season consecrated to deeper engagement with your spiritual practice. During these periods, disconnect from technology, reduce external stimulation, and create space for the voice of inner wisdom to emerge from beneath the noise of ordinary consciousness. Use these retreats not for planning or problem solving, but for remembering, reconnecting with the original vision that inspired your commitment, the deeper purpose that sustains your discipline, the eternal truth that nourishes your perseverance. Like a traveler who periodically climbs to higher ground to reorient to distant landmarks, These retreats provide perspective that is easily lost in the details of daily journey. The fifth resource for your journey is the healing power of nature. The natural world offers not only metaphors for transformation, but direct transmission of wisdom beyond conceptual understanding. The oak tree demonstrates commitment in its unwavering growth toward the light. The river embodies discipline in its faithful carving of passage through stone. The salmon reveals perseverance in its determined return to birthplace against all odds. Establish a regular practice of immersion in natural settings, even if only for brief periods. Sit beneath a tree whose roots have held firm through countless storms. Walk along a riverbank whose waters have flowed without interruption for millennia. Stand upon a mountain whose patient emergence from earthen crust required unimaginable perseverance. Allow these embodiments of commitment, discipline, and perseverance to speak directly to your being beyond words. When in natural settings, practice receptive awareness rather than analytical observation. Open your senses fully to what surrounds you, the play of light through leaves, the symphony of water over stone, the silent testimony of mountains. Nature speaks most clearly to those who listen not only with the ears, but with the entire being. These 5 resources, sacred texts, contemporary teachers, spiritual community, regular retreat, and communion with nature, form a complete ecosystem of support for your journey of transformation. Like a garden that requires diverse elements to flourish, soil and seed, water and light, protection and proper spacing, your transformation thrives when supported by multiple complementary resources. Now, I invite you to take a sacred moment to consider which of these resources might best support your current stage of journey. Place your hand on your heart and ask within, what nourishment does my commitment most require now? What support does my discipline most need? What encouragement would most strengthen my perseverance? The answer that arises from this inner questioning will guide you toward your next step. Once you have identified the resource most needed in this season of your journey, make a specific plan to incorporate it within the next 7 days. Write this plan in your journal with these words: in service of my transformation, I will, your specific plan by specific date. Be concrete rather than abstract, specific rather than general. Not, I will find spiritual community, but, I will attend the meditation group at the community center this Thursday at 7 p.m. To activate the power of declared intention, write in the comments below, I commit to nourishing my journey through your specific resource. This public declaration amplifies your private intention, creating ripples of commitment that extend beyond your individual journey to inspire others walking similar paths. When you make this declaration, take a moment to encourage at least 2 others who have shared their commitments in the comments, creating a web of mutual support. Press the notification bell if you haven't already, ensuring that future messages of guidance reach you precisely when your spirit requires them. Like this video to extend its reach to others seeking transformation. And share it specifically with someone who has expressed feeling alone on their journey of growth. Your sharing may be the very resource they have been silently seeking. Remember that these resources are not separate from your path, but integral to it. Just as the wise traveler prepares adequate provisions before crossing the desert, the wise seeker of transformation gathers necessary resources before undertaking the sacred journey of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. Your recognition of the need for support is not weakness but wisdom, the understanding that even the most courageous journey benefits from proper nourishment. Before I share this sacred testimony with you, let me tell you that what you are about to hear is not merely a story but a mirror, a reflection of possibilities that exist within your own life. As you listen, allow yourself to see beyond the specific circumstances to the universal pattern of transformation that unfolds when commitment, discipline, and perseverance converge in a human heart. I want to share with you the journey of a soul who discovered these principles not in moments of triumph, but in the darkest valley of despair. This is the story of Daniel, though the name has been changed to honor the privacy of his journey. What matters is not his identity, but the truth his path reveals about the power of these divine principles. Daniel was born into circumstances of remarkable privilege, intellectual gifts, financial security, and a family that valued achievement above all else. By the age of 30, he had accumulated the external markers of success that society celebrates: an advanced degree from a prestigious institution, a position of influence in his field, a beautiful home in an exclusive neighborhood. Yet beneath this carefully constructed facade lay a growing emptiness that no external achievement could fill. At first, Daniel attempted to silence this inner disquiet through increasingly desperate pursuits, working longer hours, acquiring more possessions, seeking validation through romantic relationships that inevitably collapsed under the weight of his unacknowledged emptiness. Like many souls in our modern world, he confused movement with progress, achievement with fulfillment, possession with purpose. The turning point came not through gentle awakening, but through complete collapse. In the span of 18 months, Daniel lost his position due to ethical compromises made in pursuit of advancement. His marriage dissolved under the strain of his emotional absence, and a health crisis brought him face to face with his mortality. Standing in the ruins of the life he had constructed, he confronted the most terrifying question a human being can face. Who am I when everything I thought defined me is stripped away? For 3 days and nights, Daniel sat alone in his empty house, unable to eat, barely sleeping, wrestling with this question. On the dawn of the 4th day, exhausted beyond resistance, he surrendered to a truth his heart had long known, but his mind had fiercely denied. That his entire life had been built on commitment to false values, discipline directed toward hollow achievements, and perseverance in a direction that led away from his authentic self rather than toward it. This moment of brutal honesty might have destroyed a weaker soul. But in Daniel's case, it became the foundation for genuine rebirth. In the space created by complete surrender, he experienced what mystics throughout the ages have described, a direct encounter with the divine presence that resides within every human heart, though often buried beneath layers of false identity and borrowed values. From this encounter emerged a commitment unlike any he had known before, not to achievement or acquisition, but to the recovery and expression of his authentic being. This commitment was not born from desire for gain or fear of loss, but from love for the truth he had glimpsed in that moment of surrender. It carried a quality of absolute clarity that transcended rational calculation. With this new commitment as his compass, Daniel began the disciplined work of dismantling the false self he had constructed over decades. Each morning, he devoted 2 hours to meditation and contemplative writing, excavating beliefs and patterns that had driven his previous choices. Each evening, he reviewed the day's interactions, honestly confronting moments when he had reverted to old patterns of seeking external validation or avoiding emotional vulnerability. This discipline was not rigid or punishing, but conducted with compassionate awareness that transformation unfolds in cycles rather than straight lines. When he faltered, and he did falter, as all sincere seekers do, he practiced self-forgiveness rather than self-condemnation, understanding that compassion toward his own humanity was essential for sustainable change. The perseverance required for this inner journey far exceeded what his previous pursuits had demanded. The path of authentic transformation offers no external accolades, no social recognition, no material rewards to sustain motivation through difficult passages. Daniel discovered that perseverance in this domain required developing an entirely new relationship with time and progress, learning to trust the unfolding process even when tangible results remained invisible. 6 months into this journey, Daniel encountered what spiritual traditions have long recognized as the dark night of the soul, a period when initial inspiration fades, previous sources of identity have been dismantled, but new foundations have not yet fully formed. During this passage, he experienced profound doubt, questioning whether his new direction represented genuine wisdom or merely elaborate escapism from worldly responsibility. It was precisely in this dark night that the true power of his commitment, discipline, and perseverance revealed itself. Without the fuel of emotional exaltation or visible progress, he continued his practices solely from fidelity to the truth he had glimpsed in that moment of surrender. Each morning, despite inner resistance that sometimes manifested as physical nausea, he returned to his meditation cushion. Each evening, despite deepening doubt, he maintained his practice of honest self-reflection. Gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, new clarity began to emerge from this faithful continuation. Not as dramatic revelation, but as quiet recognition of his authentic purpose: to serve others not through impressive achievements but through genuine presence, to create not from ambition but from love, to live not for external validation but from internal alignment with his deepest values. As this clarity strengthened, Daniel began making external changes that reflected his internal transformation. He sold his expensive home and moved to a modest apartment in a diverse neighborhood where genuine community flourished. He declined offers to return to his previous field and instead accepted a position teaching disadvantaged youth, work that offered minimal financial reward but profound alignment with his authentic gifts. Most significantly, he began sharing his journey with others not as a guru who had achieved perfection, but as a fellow traveler who had discovered the transformative power of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. In small groups gathered in living rooms and community centers, he offered his story not as a model to be imitated, but as evidence that genuine transformation is possible even from the darkest starting points. 3 years into this new path, Daniel no longer resembled the man he had been. The anxious striving that had characterized his previous existence had been replaced by steady purposefulness. The brittle confidence built on external achievement had transformed into quiet self-trust rooted in self-knowledge. The desperate need for others' approval had dissolved into authentic connection, based on mutual recognition of shared humanity. Had his external circumstances improved? By conventional measures, no. He lived more simply, earned less money, and occupied a less prestigious position than before. Yet by every measure that truly matters, inner peace, authentic connection, alignment between values and actions, capacity to give and receive love, his life had undergone radical transformation. This is the testimony I offer you today, not a fairy tale of magical transformation, but the true account of one soul's journey from hollow success to authentic fulfillment through the principles of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. Daniel's specific path is unique to his circumstances and nature, as your path will be unique to yours. What transcends these particulars is the underlying pattern. That transformation becomes not merely possible, but inevitable when these 3 principles are embraced not as techniques, but as a way of being. The power of Daniel's story lies not in its exceptionality, but in its ordinariness. The same divine current that carried him from darkness to light flows through your life at this very moment, awaiting only your commitment to truth, your discipline of practice, and your perseverance through inevitable challenges to manifest its transformative power. I have shared this testimony with you today because I see in your eyes the same longing that drove Daniel's journey, the longing to live not from the surface of your being, but from its depths, not for hollow achievement, but for authentic expression, not in anxious striving, but in aligned purpose. This longing is not random discontent, but the voice of your authentic self calling you home to who you truly are beyond all conditioned identity. Now, I invite you to recognize your own story in Daniel's journey. What false commitments have shaped your path until now? What misaligned discipline has consumed your energy? What perseverance has been directed toward goals that do not reflect your deepest truth? These questions are not meant to induce shame, but to create liberating clarity about the starting point of your authentic journey. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, I recognize the pattern that has shaped my life until now. I am ready to commit to a new direction aligned with my deepest truth. Feel the resonance of these words within your being, the recognition that speaks not from the calculating mind, but from the knowing heart. As a sacred act of alignment with the possibility of your own transformation, write in the comments below, I embrace my true story. This declaration signals to both your conscious and unconscious mind that you are no longer content to live someone else's version of your life, but are committing to the authentic expression of your unique being. Press the like button on this video as a symbol of gratitude for the testimony shared, a small gesture that extends this message to others who, like you, stand at the threshold of genuine transformation. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, ensuring that you continue to receive guidance for each stage of your unfolding journey. And share this testimony with one specific person whose path resembles Daniel's in some way, someone whose external success masks inner emptiness, or whose recent challenges have created the possibility of authentic rebirth. Remember that your story, like Daniel's, is still being written. The chapter of hollow striving or confused seeking need not be the final word. A new chapter awaits your courage to turn the page, a chapter illuminated by genuine commitment, aligned discipline, and sacred perseverance. This testimony has been shared not merely for your inspiration, but for your invitation into the community of souls who have discovered that transformation is not a distant possibility, but an immediate reality available to all who embrace its principles with their whole heart. Beloved child, we have walked together through the sacred landscape of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. We have explored the principles that govern transformation, the practices that sustain growth, the resources that nourish journey, and the testimony that affirms possibility. But wisdom without action remains merely potential, like a seed that never touches soil, a river that never reaches sea, a love that never finds expression. The moment has come to transform listening into living, knowledge into embodiment, inspiration into commitment. This moment, This precise intersection of divine timing and human readiness is not random coincidence but sacred appointment between your soul and its highest possibility. I invite you now to make a decision that transcends ordinary choice, a decision not merely about what you will do, but about who you will become. Place both hands over your heart, close your eyes, and feel the quiet certainty that has been growing within you throughout this message. This certainty speaks not with the shouting voice of temporary enthusiasm, but with the whispered knowing of eternal truth. In this moment of sacred receptivity, ask yourself, what specific commitment am I ready to make? What discipline will honor this commitment? How will I persevere when inevitable challenges arise? Allow the answers to emerge not from strategic calculation, but from the depths of your authentic being. What you are seeking is not found through mental analysis, but through soul recognition, that unmistakable resonance when inner truth aligns with outer expression. When clarity emerges, speak your commitment aloud, giving voice to intention. There is ancient power in declared purpose, a vibrational ordering that begins to arrange circumstances in alignment with spoken truth. I commit myself to your specific commitment. I embrace the discipline of your specific practice. I will persevere through specific challenges you anticipate. This verbal declaration is your first act of creation, the genesis moment from which new life will flow. But creation continues through manifestation in form. Take now a blank page and write this commitment in your own hand, not as casual note, but as sacred contract between your current self and the self you are becoming. Sign this document with full name and current date, then place it where you will see it daily, perhaps beside your bed, on your altar, or as the lock screen of your phone. Creation becomes complete through shared witness. In the comments below this video, write, "Today I commit to your specific commitment." This public declaration activates the power of community, the field of collective intention that strengthens individual resolve. When you make this declaration, know that I see your commitment, I honor your courage, and I recognize your capacity to fulfill what you have promised. Press the like button, not as casual approval, but as sacred affirmation of your participation in this covenant of transformation. Each like creates ripples that extend beyond algorithm to touch souls standing at similar thresholds of decision. Your simple action may be precisely the invitation another heart has been awaiting. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, ensuring that you continue to receive divine guidance for each stage of your unfolding journey. The path of transformation unfolds not in single moments of inspiration, but through sustained connection to wisdom that illuminates both triumph and challenge. Share this message with 3 people whose souls you recognize as ready for similar transformation. You need not explain or convince, simply offer the invitation, trusting the divine timing that connects receptive hearts with necessary wisdom. Perhaps share it with someone experiencing the hollow success that precedes awakening, someone navigating the dark night that follows surrender, and someone standing at the threshold of new beginning after profound ending. For those who feel called to deeper commitment, I invite you to join our sacred community of transformation. This gathering of kindred souls provides structured support for your journey through weekly teachings, guided practices, and connection with others walking similar paths. Click the link in the description below to learn more about this opportunity for sustained growth. Remember that true commitment is not measured in momentary intensity, but in faithful continuation despite fluctuating circumstances and emotions. There will be days when your path feels illuminated by divine light, when discipline flows without effort, when perseverance seems unnecessary because enthusiasm carries you forward. There will also be days when shadows obscure your direction, when discipline requires choice beyond feeling, when perseverance becomes your only compass through dense fog. Both experiences, the light and the shadow, are essential aspects of authentic transformation. The light nourishes vision, the shadow deepens roots. The light reveals destination, the shadow builds capacity. The light celebrates progress, the shadow integrates learning. Embrace both as sacred teachers on your path. In those inevitable moments when commitment wavers, when discipline falters, when perseverance seems beyond your capacity, remember that you walk a path traveled by countless souls before you. Their footsteps have worn smooth the most difficult passages. Their witness affirms the worthiness of your journey. You are never truly alone in your commitment, your discipline, or your perseverance. Return to this message in those moments of doubt or fatigue. Let my voice remind you of what your heart knew with certainty in this moment of clarity. Let these teachings renew your commitment, refresh your discipline, and restore your perseverance when the initial flame of inspiration naturally diminishes. Know also that I walk beside you, not as distant teacher, but as constant companion. The wisdom I offer flows not from separation but from unity, not from perfection but from compassion for the human journey in all its beauty and challenge. When you cannot feel my presence, quiet your mind and open your heart. In that sacred silence, you will find me waiting, as I have always waited, to guide you home to your authentic self. The time for contemplation has served its purpose. The moment for commitment has arrived. The journey of transformation beckons not with the intimidating demand of perfection, but with the loving invitation of possibility. Your readiness for this journey is not measured by your confidence, but by your willingness, your openness to becoming all that you truly are beyond the limiting stories of who you have been. Take now the first step, not into unknown territory, but into the homeland of your authentic being. This step requires no special preparation, no particular qualification, no extraordinary circumstance. It requires only your wholehearted yes to the life that seeks to live through you, the truth that seeks to speak through you, the love that seeks to flow through you. In this moment of decision, remember the words of the ancient mystic who said, "The path is made by walking." Your commitment does not require complete clarity about the entire journey, but only the courage to take the next step with full presence. Your discipline does not demand superhuman effort, but only faithful engagement with the practice before you. Your perseverance does not need guarantees of outcome, but only trust in the process that unfolds with each continued step. I call you now to action not because you need fixing, but because your magnificence seeks fuller expression. I invite you to commitment not because you are incomplete, but because your completeness yearns for manifestation. I guide you toward transformation not because you are not enough, but because the divine abundance within you longs to overflow into the world that so desperately needs your authentic gifts. Say yes to this invitation. Comment your commitment. Like this message. Subscribe to continued guidance. Share this wisdom. Join our community. Begin your practice. Take your first step. The entire universe conspires to support the soul who aligns commitment, discipline, and perseverance with authentic purpose. That soul is you, beloved child. That time is now. As our sacred time together draws to completion, I want to speak directly to that part of you that has been listening beneath the conscious mind, the eternal soul that recognizes truth not through reasoning, but through resonance. This deepest part of you has heard not merely my words, but the silence between them, not just the message, but the love from which it flows. You stand now at a threshold that has existed since the dawn of human consciousness, the sacred passage between living from the surface of your being and living from its depths. This threshold is crossed not through accumulation of knowledge, but through surrender to wisdom, not through perfection of technique, but through devotion to truth, not through extraordinary circumstance, but through the courage to live your ordinary life with extraordinary presence. Throughout human history, countless souls have stood where you stand now, hearing the call to deeper authenticity, feeling the tension between comfortable familiarity and necessary growth, sensing the possibility of transformation that both attracts and frightens. Some have turned away from this threshold, returning to the known landscape of controlled limitation. Others have crossed over, entering the unmapped territory where commitment, discipline, and perseverance converge to reveal the masterpiece hidden within the marble of their lives. What separates these two paths is not talent or privilege or circumstance. It is not education or resources or support, though these may ease the journey. What determines whether you turn back or move forward is your answer to a single question that only your heart can answer. Am I willing to become all that I truly am, regardless of the cost? This question cannot be answered through intellectual analysis or emotional impulse. It can be answered only through the quiet certainty that arises when your soul recognizes its own voice calling you home to authenticity. This recognition may come as gentle warmth spreading through your chest, as tears that flow without explanation, as inexplicable knowing beyond rational understanding. When this recognition comes, and it will come, if you remain open to its arrival, know that you are experiencing not random emotion, but divine invitation. The universe itself is extending its hand toward you, offering partnership in the greatest creative act possible, the manifestation of your authentic being in physical form. To accept this invitation requires a particular kind of courage, not the familiar courage that faces external danger, but the sacred courage that faces internal truth. It requires willingness to release not only what has harmed you but what has comforted you, not only false limitations but familiar identities, Not only obvious obstacles but subtle attachments to smallness that have masqueraded as protection. The principles we have explored together, commitment, discipline, and perseverance, are not merely strategies for achievement, but alchemical forces that transform the lead of conditioned existence into the gold of authentic being. When embraced not as techniques but as expressions of your deepest truth, they become not what you do but what you are, the natural emanation of a soul aligned with its eternal purpose. Remember that commitment in its highest form is not obligation but recognition, the soul's joyful yes to its own unfolding. True commitment emerges not from should or must but from cannot help but, not from external pressure but from internal alignment, not from fear of failure but from love of truth. Remember that discipline in its sacred expression is not restriction but devotion, the lover's faithful attention to the beloved. Genuine discipline flows not from rigid control but from passionate dedication, not from avoidance of punishment but from pursuit of communion, not from denial of desire but from honoring of deeper longing. Remember that perseverance in its divine aspect is not stubborn endurance but faithful presence, the willingness to remain when remaining seems impossible. Authentic perseverance arises not from fear of abandonment but from certainty of belonging, not from desperate clinging but from rooted stability, not from anxious striving but from peaceful continuation. When these three forces converge within a human heart fully open to transformation, a miracle occurs that transcends ordinary understanding. The separate self that has lived in anxious isolation begins to dissolve into the universal self that has always existed in perfect wholeness. The fragmented consciousness that has sought completion through external acquisition returns to the integrated awareness that recognizes completion as its original nature. This miracle of return does not occur as dramatic spectacle, but as quiet remembrance, the soul's recognition of what has always been true beneath the accumulated layers of forgetting. It manifests not as supernatural power but as natural presence, not as escape from humanity, but as complete embodiment of it, not as perfect performance, but as authentic expression. As you leave this sacred time and return to your daily life, carry with you this eternal truth. You are not beginning a journey toward becoming something you are not. You are remembering a truth about what you have always been. Your commitment, discipline, and perseverance are not creating transformation, but removing the obstacles to its natural unfolding. The oak tree does not strive to become an oak. It simply removes the acorn shell that has served its purpose but now constrains expansion. The river does not struggle to reach the ocean. It simply continues its natural flow, finding paths around or through whatever obstacles arise. The flame does not effort to illuminate darkness. It simply burns with faithful presence, unconcerned with how far its light extends. You, beloved child of the universe, need not exhaust yourself trying to become worthy of transformation. Your worthiness is original, not earned. Your belonging is inherent, not achieved. Your purpose is discovered, not invented. Commitment, discipline, and perseverance serve not to make you deserving of grace, but to create space for the grace that has always been your birthright. In the silent depths of your being, beyond all striving and seeking, beyond all becoming and achieving, there exists already the peace that you desire, the wisdom that you seek, the love that you long for. This treasure buried within the field of your being is accessed not through extraordinary effort, but through faithful presence to the ordinary miracle of each moment. The great secret that mystics throughout the ages have discovered is this. Transformation occurs not when we finally figure out how to change ourselves, but when we finally allow ourselves to be changed by the love that has always surrounded us, the truth that has always sustained us, the belonging that has always held us. As you move forward from this moment, know that you carry within you everything necessary for the journey ahead. The commitment you seek is already present in the quiet certainty beneath your doubts. The discipline you need is already embedded in your natural devotion to what matters most. The perseverance required is already demonstrated in your very survival through all that has brought you to this moment. Trust this inner knowing. Honor this quiet certainty. Follow this gentle guidance. It will lead you not to some distant destination, but to the center of your own being, where transformative power has always resided, waiting only for your recognition to manifest in the world through uniquely authentic expression. And when doubt inevitably arises, when the mind questions what the heart knows with certainty, return to simple presence. Feel your feet upon the earth that has supported every step of your journey. Feel your breath flowing in the body that has carried your consciousness through each experience. Feel your heart beating with the same rhythm that pulses through stars and oceans and the deepest roots of ancient trees. In that presence, you will remember what cannot be forgotten, though it may be temporarily obscured. That you are not separate from the source of all commitment, all discipline, all perseverance. You are not distant from the love that moves the sun and other stars. You are not apart from the creative force that sustains all existence. You are, and have always been, an essential expression of the divine commitment to life, the sacred discipline of evolution, the eternal perseverance of consciousness expanding into ever greater awareness of its own infinite nature. Your personal journey of transformation is not isolated endeavor, but participation in the great unfolding that began before time and continues beyond all imagined endings. Go now into your life with this awareness illuminating each step, each choice, each moment of continuation despite difficulty. Live not as one seeking transformation, but as transformation itself unfolding in human form. Offer your commitment, discipline, and perseverance not as personal achievement, but as sacred contribution to the healing of our world, which so desperately needs souls who remember their original wholeness. And know that I walk with you always, not as external guide but as internal presence, not as distant teacher but as indwelling wisdom, not as separate being, but as the very love that beats your heart, breathes your breath, and calls you continuously home to the truth of who you are beyond all forgetting. The circle of our communion does not end with these final words, but continues in the silence where all true teaching resonates, in the space between thoughts where all authentic knowing arises, in the quiet certainty at the center of your being where transformation has always been not future possibility, but present reality awaiting only your recognition to manifest in miraculous form. Remember, return, become what you are.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now